The rise of capitalism in China has led to an increased amount of concubines.
Booyakasha.
Okay. China has had a long history with concubines, and
Think about it.
they were acceptable up until the 20th century.
Yeah, that's true and untrue. Okay, since Wendy's Chinese, I bring this up to her all the time. In fact, I sent her this story in an email. I said, look, it's Chinese tradition. I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying. Okay, now, they've been fine with it because women didn't really have a voice.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So, like, if you're a poor dude and you can get one girl, you're ecstatic, okay? And if you're a rich guy and you could afford more girls, you'd have more girls. And that's why it was tradition, right? But no one really asked the girls. You know,
Well, some of the
on
wives,
a general basis.
some of the wives would actually supply their husbands with fresh concubines, as this article says in those exact words.
Hey, you know, you got to respect tradition. And sometimes time-honored traditions make a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah,
All
like this one, right?
Yeah, and what do they call it? They called it some vinegar, right? When
They called it drinking vinegar.
When the older wife would give the fresh young concubine to the husband, she'd be drinking vinegar.
It makes me so uncomfortable to use the word fresh.
Fresh.
The
Okay.
fresh young concubine.
No, that's fantastic. But you get a sense that the women are not that psyched about it. They call it drinking vinegar.
Right, exactly.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they can't really complain because the husband has all the power and the money and the authority, right? But it's not like they're like, yeah, oh yes, another wife or another concubine. It's awesome. Unless they don't really like the guy and they're like, yeah, by all means, go forward, right? But now it's coming back because we got money again in China,
Right.
and the communists have stopped the oppression of this. You know, the communists didn't do a lot right, but they try to suppress this, which I think a lot of people would say is not such a bad thing. But of course, whenever you try to suppress anything, it doesn't really work. You have to either let it change on its own, and the inorganic suppression didn't work, obviously, so it's back. So who's doing it?
All of the rich businessmen and some politicians. Basically, anyone that has wealth and power in China has mistresses, and several of them.
Come on, it's really hard to argue with this tradition.
No, what do you mean it's hard to? No, okay, I thought you were kidding at first, but now you're being serious.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
That's ridiculous.
All right, now here's the thing, right?
Okay, let me just give you an example of one concubine that was quoted in the story. 20-year-old girl, she's anonymous, and she talks about how her man, or the person that she's seeing, is the same age as her father. Okay? And they had a kid together and everything, and she says, look, I'm 20 years old. I don't ask him to get a divorce. I don't ask about his business. I don't ask any questions. I have a son, and he's supplied me with a place to live, and that's all that matters. Life is short.
I mean, there's a woman with a good head on her shoulders. Okay, now look, don't get mad at me. You just have to calm down for a second. And he got a couple of strip malls or something for the kid,
Yeah.
and the kid's name. Okay, no, look. Here in the U.S., where we have as much opportunity as possible, roughly speaking, but you can go to college, you can get a career, et cetera, et cetera. Now, is that possible in China as well? To some degree, yes. But is it harder, especially in certain areas of China? Absolutely. You'd be incredibly naive if you didn't think so. So in some instances, they see these as the one way out, and they think, oh, this is great. This is my one chance. Now, it sucks that that's their one chance. But keeping it real, she's thinking it's a pretty good deal.
She does see it that way.
Right.
She sees it as a present.
Look, he gets a present, you get a present.
Oh, God.
Look, we've been doing this a long time, guys. No, seriously, though, okay? The world has been going around like this for a long, long time. And if you could afford it, you would have more wives in a lot of cultures, not just Chinese culture. My culture, there was a thing called harems, back in the day in Turkey. Now, that was badass, okay? Now, part of the reason, but getting serious here for a second, part of the reason why that it happens this way is because of the differing natures of men and women, okay? Now, part of the reason is because men had more power and suppressed women, okay? Let's keep it real, right? But the other reason is because they think, that's an outlet that was normal. Now, we see it as completely unnormal now because in the West, the view of love is romantic love, because we've seen all the movies. And if it's not one guy and one girl, it's seen as sacrilege, quite literally, right? So is it possible, Anna, that it's not such a bad thing, that you're looking at it from too much of a Western perspective? You racist.
Okay, stepping back from a Western. Okay, let's stepping back from a Western perspective. Okay, fine. Have your concubines, but I don't think that it should be the case where the man should have as many mistresses as he wants, and then he has a loyal wife who has to, stay committed to him and not have her fun on the side.
Sure,
So
fun on the side.
so
What is that
if-
about?
So if the woman gets to have her fun, and she gets
Of
to have
course.
her,
This is the typical conversation
She gets
every
to-
time.
yeah,
Wendy
she
will say
gets
the
to
same thing. Oh, strike back. Where's my harem?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. I know who to put in it. I'm like, whoa. All right, now look. Here's the reality.
because
okay, I'm going to
you
combine.
talk about nature, okay?
Okay.
You talk about nature. And whenever you talk about it, you seem to think that women don't have temptation. When they're in a committed relationship, they're not tempted. Believe me, women get tempted too. So it's
Be
in their
cool.
nature.
Be
It's
cool.
in their nature to not to the extent as men, you know what I mean? But it's in their nature to also fool around on the side.
Okay, no, I get that. Okay, so I'm going to strike a deal with you here. Okay. By the way, the mistresses or the concubines they have a word for that too. They're called the second breast.
Okay, so move on.
Come on.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
I know, it's so clever.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, all right. So here's the deal. Okay, I think we should be open-minded and say, okay, if people want to roll this way, go ahead and let them. I mean, look, conservatives' heads are going to blow up. Traditional family values. What's with these Chinese concubines, right? But look, if people are comfortable with that. Now, on the other hand, if the chick's got a lot of money and she wants male concubines,
Sanchos?
what are they?
They're Sanchos.
Sanchos. I never heard of that. That sounds okay, interesting. Okay, go forward, right? And if the guys are comfortable with it being Sanchos, I mean, do we live in a free country or don't we? That's my question to you, Anna.
But we do have that in America. They're called swingers. I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah, I guess. So, see, we got to figure it out.
And in my mind, I respect swingers much more than a dirty businessman cheating on his wife with a bunch of concubines and mistresses.
I guess the part that's more of an upside and a downside at the same time is that those people are there for a while. Like swingers swing in and they swing out, right? Whereas the concubines, you can go hit that anytime. Like, you see what I'm saying? There's something cool about it. On the other hand, then you got another girlfriend or wife. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm not saying anything. I haven't said a word. Okay.